Welcome to Footprints in the Market. In this episode, we are speaking to JJ Williams, who is the founder of Devilfish Poker. So, JJ has kind of pioneered a new frontier where traditional poker meets blockchain. So, what we kind of wanted to do is do a little bit of a deep dive in terms of how he's grown the community that he has and how he's had to maybe adapt some of his marketing strategies to fit in with that model and also in terms of retention for engagement in the gamification. So, welcome, JJ. Thank you so much for coming on this episode with us.
Hi Sharon, it's great to be here. I appreciate you having me on.
I thought what would be good is if you could just kind of like give our listeners a little bit of a background in terms of Devilfish and your concept to
Yeah.
building one of these like free to play poker projects.
Yeah, for sure. So we're a free-to-play poker project. So we call it like social poker. It's community-based poker where players they still play poker, but we make generate revenue in untraditional ways rather than taking rake or buy-ins. We do free tournaments. We offer real prizes, and we generate revenue through selling our players skins, avatars, in-game benefits, common gamification techniques that are used in lots of traditional normally video games. So that's kind of the model we've gone for. But our main focus is on community-based poker. So players can play, have fun, just enjoy being a part of the community, chatting with each other, and enjoying free tournaments. Really, like that is the main concept for us. It's based on fun and socialness.
Well, you've scaled pretty quickly, right? So you now got over like 10,000 monthly active players on it.
So our individual unique users were around 5,000 players, but our like the amount of joins we get per month is like well over 10,000. It's probably 12 to 13,000 like people that actually join into our games. So yeah, we have scaled. It's taken a while. Like it's been slow and steady growth. Because that is kind of the approach we went for. Like trying to build a community, it takes a while to get everyone like accustomed to each other and really natural and organic place that players want to come and chill out. But so over the last year, yeah, we've scaled up to around 5,000 unique players, and then yeah, around we get like 12, 13,000 people like joins in tournaments. So yeah, it's going quite well in that regard.
Amazing. And see, in terms of like, competitors within the space, I would imagine that those are pretty like big brands, from the traditional like gambling perspective. How do you guys compete against them? Is your USP just that community driven approach?
Yeah, so we're obviously tiny compared to these massive companies.
Yep.
Like we're a small company. We're new. We're doing something different. Um, but yeah, like our approach, we're not trying to necessarily compete with them. Like we're trying to do something completely different. These big guys, their model is paid poker, it's buy-ins, players come onto their site, it's all about like extraction, players win money, some lose money. But for us, we're trying to turn that model and make it fun, free to play, and so players can actually enjoy the game. And because of the community-based approach, it means that players they actually end up spending time in our server, talking to each other, asking each other how their day was. So for us, we don't really look at the big guys as competition. Like obviously, one day it'd be amazing to compete with them, but right now we're tiny compared to that. So our focus really is just providing the best experience for our players. We do fun games and we try and make it a place that organically grows because when you do free tournaments, players can win a bit of cash for free and they can have fun and it's a good social environment. We found that like you organically get that growth because it's players come play with Devilfish. You know, I won $100 last week. It's great. I didn't lose anything.
Yeah.
So our model's different. We're not necessarily competing with the big guys like right now. We go for this social based approach and we compete in a different market. So we get the majority of our players from kind of the crypto world. It's referred to as the Web3 space, and we target a lot of crypto communities, NFT communities, and yeah, that's been our method so far.
I'm guessing as well, say purely because your model is quite different, that the cost per acquisition for a player would be much lower than what it would be if you were, one of the big boys in the traditional poker setting.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, today the cost per acquisition of players is like sometimes upwards of $500. It can be even higher in the traditional space. It's awful. The competition is so high. Everyone's fighting for the same market share. So, with our model, we found this is a rough estimate. Sometimes it's lower, sometimes a little bit higher, but we found that our CPA is around $20 per player, which is obviously like significantly lower than the industry average because of where we get our players from, because we operate in this different market, because it's fun, no one loses,
Yeah.
it's that community-based approach. We found like it's you're not just trying to get people in to extract from them. They actually want to be a part of this space. They invite their mates. So it's a really cost effective way of growing.
And I think as well, what you'll find with like, a lot of the bigger brands, it's all very like promotion based or bonus based. So,
Yeah,
you
oh,
know, it's like
100%.
this quick hit thing, whereas I guess what you're kind of trying to build is something with a little bit more longevity in terms of player life cycle and you know,
Yeah,
reducing player
yeah.
churn.
Spot on. Like we anticipate our player lifetime value to be way higher because naturally they play with us. Like so far, we've had players play with us since we've been going, so like around 2 years. And
Oh,
in the traditional gambling space, it's common for players to leave after weeks or months. So yeah, we find players will play with us for longer. Like they're incentivized to stick around. They want to stick around. They're not just here just to claim the free deposit or the free promotion that they get for signing up. They play with us because they want to play with us, and they actually do want to be a part of the community.
do you know, I think it's interesting because I remember like when I started in iGaming, it was like very much like bingo based. And that's
Yeah,
hugely like community driven. So like back then it was like full of like affiliate portals that had like free to play bingo games, but the monetization part like kind of came after. So you would already have that player, have them loyal, and then they would trust you. So then if you were to promote, you know, to promote something different, you would already kind of like have that buy-in from them. And I do think that maybe that's something that is a little bit missing now in the sort of modern iGaming world where it is like usually casino and slots focused. I don't know if you would agree with that.
yeah, I definitely agree with that. I've never been I've never really played the bingo stuff, but I totally the model is kind of similar. Like our approach is we get players in for free and get them wanting to be a part of the community, wanting to play. And I think that, yeah, the traditional gambling space definitely has lost that. But I think it's partly because of the competition, because companies are spending millions and millions of dollars on marketing now, sponsoring F1 teams, football clubs, etc. It's so expensive
Yeah.
that the competition is so high. So the players are migrating quicker because they can get a better deal if they jump onto the next site. Or you'll find all players are signed up on all 10 different gambling sites to claim all free deposits on all of them. So yeah, I think the space obviously has changed. Like the bingo method probably was more popular back in the day, but these big companies become so aggressive with their promotions because they have to lure the players in. So like our team talk about it, we don't think it's a sustainable model. Like obviously these companies profit from it, but like they have to keep bringing in the fresh players because they know all the time they're losing their current base. So yeah, we definitely think a different model is for us at least. It's been like you said about the bingo method, it getting them in and letting the players have a bit of fun and then looking at monetization afterwards is definitely a really good strategy for growing your database, user base, and yeah, building that community.
Do you think in the sort of long term that Web3 might just be like the next disruptor force in iGaming? Because let's face it, as we just talked about, like the costs for it in terms of like marketing and scaling that would be less because you're not competing with the same product. Do you think what we might see is like a lot of more new entrants that are kind of saying, well, do you know what, we kind of want to go down this model and you know, rather than this traditional throw as much as we can at like paid media and that kind of thing to kind of get
Yeah.
players in?
I think so. I mean, a lot of companies are experimenting, but most of them they just offer the same products, but with you can spend like deposit in crypto,
Yeah.
which I think like that is kind of like step like dipping your foot in the pond a little bit, but it's not fully going all in. Like what we do, we actually work with other NFT crypto communities with users who are in the space who already buy crypto and NFTs. Like we really get like indulge in it almost like we go into where we speak to other communities. We're really in the thick of it. These big companies kind of touch
Yeah.
by allowing Bitcoin deposits and stuff like that. So I think, yeah, in answer to your question, the Web3 communities is defo it could be the next like rush where all the operators want to move into, but I do think they've got to have a more like just spend the time getting to know the space a bit. It is a lot different to the traditional world. Like the community side of things it sounds a bit naff almost, but it is real. Like every different project has its own collection of like 10,000 members, 20,000 members of these people that all are part of that community. So it's like once you get into the thick of it, understand how they operate and work with them, it's a way better way of getting players in and then building your own community rather than just offering the same games but allowing players to deposit in Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana.
And I'm guessing as well, see, because you have these players and they are really super like community focused, they'll be on there for like, you know, 2 to 3 hours at a time. Is there like other ways for you to like leverage that and get like sponsorship deals from other brands and create partnerships, it'll also kind of help you monetize that because you have such a captive audience that maybe other operators wouldn't.
Yeah, for sure. That's one of our like revenue streams we see in the future. Like as we scale up the amount of players in our tournaments, we think that's definitely a big opportunity to generate revenue. Like we've had a few like smaller gambling sites asked to do promotion with us because when we get like 750 players in a tournament, they want to work with our community to try and get someone to sign up. So like as we scale up, I think that's a massive opportunity really because we're getting our players for so cheap, and we've kind of mastered the Web3 like poker space to some extent. That yeah, definitely as we scale up, I think bigger companies will want to sponsor us, particularly if we get those users numbers higher, like we get from to 10,000 unique users, 20,000, like it's going to become really attractive because these big companies they spend so much money because they're all fighting for the same market share. So if they find this new space where they can spend less money and get more signups and stuff like that, then it's going to be really attractive for them, isn't it? Like they're going to go for it.
100%. And I think, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm guessing there is obviously, because it's a free to play platform, that the regulations aren't, they're not restrictive like they are on traditional
Exactly.
operator sites. So like the world's literally your oyster in terms of that.
Exactly. Spot on. That is one of our like one of our big things really. That it's jurisdictionless. Like you can reach any market you want. So we're getting players from all over the world coming to play with us. You don't have to go through the really in-depth licensing and expensive procedures, getting licenses in every single country or state. So it really does open way more doors. It allows a more diverse group of players to play with us, and we get players from all over the world. So that again, that even adds to the value in potential other companies wanting to sponsor you because of where we get our players from.
And I think that's a really big thing. Like I can just say, like from agency side, we get a lot of affiliates and a lot of operators, and their next challenge is to enter into the new hot market. The latest hot place that we're expanding into. But with that, because of the legislation, because of the regulations, it takes months to do so much, like so much prep that I suppose you guys can kind of leapfrog a little bit, so then have that competitive edge.
Yeah, 100%. That is one of the reasons we went for this model. Like our team comes from the traditional space, like gambling wise. And like we know like there's so much like it slows you down a bit. It's expensive if you want to cover all the markets. You have to pick which licenses you
Yeah.
want, etc. Like with free to play, you're global straight away. It's a really easy way of growing your customers faster. Everyone loves free games. Everyone loves winning a bit of money for free. Like it's a really attractive model, and so we can scale it up. We are already global, but we're obviously not that big right now. But as we get bigger, like we're sucking in players from all over the world. So really attractive way of growing.
Would you be able to like just give us a little bit of information on some of the tactics that you've like implemented so far? Like I've heard you speak in a couple of interviews about Discord and how you're using that for engagement. So that's something that's kind of fairly new to us. So even for you to give a little
Yeah.
bit of background into that would be amazing for the listeners.
So how you're talking about Discord. So we have our Discord is like our main method of communication, really. So when we talk about community, that's where our community lives. Like that's where everyone clocks in. I said just a second ago that we get around 15 to 20,000 messages a month. So our players all talk to each other every day. They clock in, ask them how they're getting on, stuff like that. So Discord is like I think it's an amazing piece of software, but not many people know actually how to use it. So that is like our hub. We put a lot of time and effort into growing that, and we found that it is a really good tool because it allows such good communication with your players. So we get feedback straight away on what they like, what they don't like. We can announce directly to all their phones. Like I know you can get that if you have a good app, but like notifications ping straight to their phones. We can hit them up with tournaments, with feedback, etc. And it allows the community vibe. So we have fun channels in there. We have discussion channels. We have channels where players can play in mini games, like you can integrate bots that allow like we do games called Rumbles where players like it's like a saw game. It's just a bit of fun, but it adds to that layer of community, that fun aspect, the free to play element. So yeah, it's a really good tool, and it's really comprehensive as well. We can track where our players come from. We can track what like we have members in our Discord that invite other users. So it's kind of like affiliates really, but we can see who's invited who, how many people have joined, really good analytics. So yeah, I think personally, Discord is like our biggest strength. That's where our community lives. That's where they converse, and it's been like our tool to grow our user base. It's been directly through our Discord and working with other communities' Discords as well.
Perfect. And I know you were saying earlier, JJ, about looking to like grow and scale further, so to kind of like really, really boost those active monthly players. What's next for Devilfish? Or do you have any like plans within the near future as to how you're going to do that?
Yeah, so we are. I will say this now. Actually, we have kind of done a small acquisition of another community. I won't say what actual figures, but there's a it's a decent sized Discord. It's kind of like doubling our members of our Discord members, and we're getting a large database along with it. And that's from a Web3 community that kind of yeah, from they were around a couple of years ago. It was a poker orientated community, so we've kind of acquired them, which is like a really nice deal for us. We haven't formally announced that, but we will be this week. So that's like early news. So that's a big player for us, really. But other than that, we've got loads of new features coming, so can play for free on our site. We're about to go live on our even bet integrated software in a few weeks, fingers crossed. So that's going to be really good. So we're going to start. We've built like an integration onto their platform, which is going to look really cool. We've got new features coming. Players are actually going to be able to come onto our site and buy skins that they can customize the avatar with. We've got like a wardrobe function coming that like kind of like
Yeah.
video games like Fortnite or any other big video games you can think of. Players will be able to customize their in-game avatars, and this is all powered by the blockchain. So it's some quite complicated tech. So yeah, there's some really big features coming for us. We're launching out these new products that we've kind of already tested. We've got the feedback, and we know that our players will like. So it's going to be just scaling up really. Like for our business model to work, we need as many free players as possible. We need loads of players, and there will always be a percentage who are going to spend a little bit of money customizing the avatar, buying skins, in-game purchases, etc. So we have to just keep growing, and yeah, we've built loads of methods for that, and we're once we launch these features, it's purely about just scaling up, getting from 5,000 unique players to 10,000 to 20,000, etc. And we've got some targets we want to hit. Yeah,
And what I kind of wanted to also touch on, JJ, if that's all right, is what we kind of want is obviously our listeners who want to learn from what the successes and great things that people have done and kind of try and replicate that and make that their own as much as possible. But is there any like challenges or pitfalls that you've kind of learned along the way that you'd be like, don't do this if you're looking to scale your new product?
yeah. I mean, obviously we've learned loads along the way, and we've got way more efficient. I think for us, that we have kind of learned as we've gone along because it's a new space. It's constantly changing the space we operate, like this Web3 space. But I think anyone starting, like particularly in this market, if you do build a community and you focus on, like, even if you're not that big on the community side of things, if you focus on making your experience fun,
Yeah,
and rather than just thinking about like pure extraction, like, oh, how much money can you get players to spend and lose with you? If you try think of like a model, because there's loads of different games you can implement with this like kind of community based product. If you pick something fun and that you know players will like, and like not necessarily think, oh, how can I make that much money off them straight away, but actually get them in, get that in the database, get them having fun, then like when you launch new products, new features, different games, if you've got that initial audience, it's so much more likely to be a success. If you because sometimes the hardest bit is getting those first users. So if you can get them in for cheap, for free, a bit of fun at the start,
yeah.
I think anyone starting out, like to grow your user base, especially, offer some fun games, get them enjoying themselves, talking to each other. Try using softwares like Discord, or come up with fun promotions, not just the standard. Like we do all sorts of different games. Like we do themes, we do the 12 days of Christmas. That like rather than just focusing on the prize pool for the games we offer, we focus on making it a bit of fun. So yeah, I think that would be my one piece of advice: make it fun, a good place to come, and try get just numbers in there to start with, and then look at monetizing them maybe slightly later down the line.
Do you ever see like a Web3 based product being as part of like mainstream marketing? So do you ever see like a Devilfish being like a furniture sponsor, for example, for like a football team, or do you think that there's still a lot of user education to be done there in terms of player base, or how do you see that evolving?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think like right now, obviously no, because we're not big enough. But I don't know if you had the funds and the marketing resources, then maybe. It's a good question. I've never thought about something like that. But I think we do use like the same methods of marketing as traditional companies do as well on a smaller scale because we're a small business.
Yeah.
Like we still use affiliates, we still go in publications, stuff like that. So I think we would still use the same methods, but we just focus more on our cheaper ways of advertising. Like obviously our product is different. and our users are accustomed to like our the Web3 market, the crypto wallets, etc. Like it's a different kind of audience. But for us to scale up, that we want to scale up, it has to be a product that any average poker player can come on and play for free and enjoy. So, yeah, I think in answer to your question, I don't know, maybe one day, but we do use the same methods as a traditional company sometimes already. Like the affiliates is really good for us. We have an affiliate program that works well, and we use a lot of publications. But yeah, because we're smaller, we're more resourceful. We go for cheaper ways, and these so far have been working really well for
And we
us.
always finish up, JJ, with the same question for all of our speakers. Is there any piece of advice that anybody's kind of given you in terms of the Devilfish journey that's always kind of like stuck in your head that you think might be useful to relay on to anyone else?
Not really. I think the one thing we always do is that, like, because it's technically a family business, my dad and I work closely on this. We always, our main thing is we think about
Yeah.
everything before we put it out there. It sounds really obvious, but like, we have a large player base. We always think about like, think twice before we put out a big announcement relating to the future of the project. Like, our product is a little bit different. Because of the way we communicate so closely with our players. But for us, yeah, it's obviously once you put something out there to your players, it's hard to go back on it. So really think about the implications of like your product, who you're talking to, um, before just jumping into something because you think it's the next trend or you think, oh, this could get us a massive buzz of players. But like, think about it. Will that actually work? Is that gonna give us
Yeah.
backlash? Like stuff like that.
Okay, I just wanted to say again a massive thank you for your time and kind of coming on. I know that definitely I've learned a lot of stuff, so I'm pretty sure that our listeners have as well. So thank you so much, JJ. I really appreciate it.
Yes, thanks for having me.